I'm Maureen, your multidimensional guide on what I call the Cosmic Scavenger Hunt. I weave together earth medicine and galactic wisdom to help you remember who you are and what you're here to do. I practice quantum hypnosis, I work with the Akashic records, I integrate shamanic medicine, and mostly I'm just a student of life, an intuitive human who maybe is not so human, who is here following the clues that have led me to this point in what I'm calling the great transition of consciousness. This space is for anyone who feels the call. If you know that there's something happening for you, that you're perhaps here on a mission yourself, because my mission is to help you remember your mission. This links to some of my galactic lifetimes. If you sense that you have a mission here to serve humanity, the transition of consciousness that we're experiencing, or you know that you have a calling to express yourself creatively in a way that will help with this transition, or you just want to bring your life into more coherence, to live in alignment with your soul's blueprint, and then that will emanate out to those around you, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Great Transition, guided by the Cosmic Scavenger Hunt. Enjoy the episode. Whew. Okay, something really big has been coming through, and I keep getting the guidance that I need to be sharing it with more people. Everyone I've shared it with in person has said other people need to hear this. So here we are. I'm just going to allow it to transmit through me without filter. This is a bit of an edge for me, but here we go. So we are in the midst of the great transition from third density to fourth density. Third density is the density of physical form, the masculine energy of structure, of the five senses world that we've been living in. It's the old financial structures, it's the old governmental, institutional, corporate structures. It's everything that is from what is called the Atlantean era that has created the reality that we have been living in for all of this lifetime. And as you know, Pluto has shifted into Aquarius and everything that's going on planetarily, this window has opened for an evolution of consciousness to fourth density, which is actually less dense than third density. So imagine more fluidity, more of the feminine energy. I'm not talking about male versus female, I'm talking about energetics here. It's more of a feminine flowing energy. This is very linked to the Andromedan galaxy, which is a place of constant change. And if you're feeling it in the collective, that's exactly what's going on now. The chaos that you might be noticing, experiencing, feeling, depending on how tapped in you are to the matrix and the 3D reality, the news cycle, all of that, the fear frequency, depending on how tapped into that you are, this could feel really chaotic and scary, the shift that's happening. But what's actually happening is we have this window of opportunity to make a transition, and it's happening even if you go kicking and screaming, it's happening. So Earth herself, Gaia, is transforming into fourth density. It is a density of more unity consciousness, of living in harmony with nature. Think of Lemuria, the Lemurian era, which took place 13,000 years to 26,000 years ago before the Younger Dryas. That period when we lived in harmony with nature, of unconditional love, that way of living in harmony with our true selves and with nature, that is returning that opportunity. Now, of course, there's some transformation pains that come along with that, right? And what I've been shown is the metaphor of actual childbirth, because this is just like all of the deaths and rebirths that we have experienced, especially if you have had a spiritual awakening, if you've had a dark night of the soul, even if you're not conscious of it, you've experienced deaths and rebirths throughout your life. And so as we're going through this and we're shifting from third density to fourth density, we actually have to lose the density within our bodies, within our minds, within our emotions. And what we're creating is what I'm calling the birthing sanctuary or the transition sanctuary. So the metaphor that was brought to me was during childbirth, there are contractions that are pushing the baby out. So that's what we've been feeling, the contractions. And they're not always comfortable. If you brace against them, it can feel much more painful. Each contraction is squeezing the density out of us. So if you've noticed a lot rising to the surface, things that maybe were old patterns, especially during the eclipse portal, this is an opportunity to really purge them and release them. And if you don't, things could be a little bit more difficult for you, a lot more difficult. So allowing the purge energetically in your body. I recently got the guidance to start doing intermittent fasting. I had completely resisted fasting of any sort in the past. I placed it with breath work, ice baths, bro wellness culture, not for me. And of course, things we resist often have the medicine that we need. And so I started doing fast like a girl just at the same time that this all started dropping in. And the clarity that it's brought into my body, into my mind, into my spirit is beyond. So that's again a clearing of density. I've been joking that I grew up in the US in the 80s. I'm probably like 25% preservatives and microplastics because I've never fasted. I've never given myself that opportunity for my body to clear and cleanse the toxins in that way. So that's one example of allowing the physical density to purge. This is also, emotions get trapped in our bodies as physical density. So the more we suppress them, repress them, they just stay stuck. They don't go anywhere. And so actually allowing them to come to the surface, to be felt, to be acknowledged, and actually to release is a way of relieving density. And I've been seeing some amazing transformations in my clients, friends, and family around them as they shift and change. People in their lives who have said things like, I will never be feeling my emotions, are starting to come with these revelations about things that have been long buried. And it's been really powerful. Another thing I've been noticing is so as we're going through this transition, imagine that you're a baby, right? So you're essentially birthing yourself as your purest self, your I am, your whole self. So imagine you're a baby, nice and comfy in the womb. It's the only reality you've ever known in this lifetime. And then the contractions start, and you're like, what's going on? But you really can't fight it. There's no going back. It's happening. And so then the transition is as you go towards the light. And so I actually saw a portal, and it looked like a maybe 1 centimeter dilated cervix. And there was light on the other side. So this is the light that comes through during birth, death, and rebirth. It's connected to the Arcturians. They are the ones who are there shining the light for us. So if people have near-death experiences, they're the ones they often experience. So they're there helping us kind of on the other side through this transition. And so those of us who are kind of the first wave of this, so this will happen in waves, right? Those of us who are on the first wave, those of us who are here on a mission, if you're a starseed, a lightworker, or a healer, a creative who has a purpose related to the expansion and transition of consciousness, you're being guided through first. And so those of us who are in that group, we're experiencing this first. We're, taking the medicine so that we can release our own density, and then we can shine the light back down the birth canal for those who are to come after us. So I've been calling myself a cosmic doula. And that idea just felt so true to me, but I didn't know really what it meant. And it's just become so much more clear to me is that, what a doula does. And I was fortunate enough to have a doula for my first birth. She really helped create this sanctuary of safety for me, and helped guide me through experiences that I'd never had before that would have been, they could have been quite traumatic because I was in the hospital system. And she kind of ran interference and created this bubble around me, including with an obstetrician who I decided I really didn't even want there. And he had laughed at my birth plan, and it was very traumatic. But she was so amazing. And anytime there was fear or doubt, she was there just to reassure me, like, nope, this is how it works. And, nothing's wrong. This is a normal part of the process. And even prepared me for transition and birth. So for me, with my first child, transition was the most euphoric, magical, ecstatic, connected experience I'd had in my life up until that point. So, childbirth is like, I mean, I know some people who are at a different stage in their journey are having ecstatic births all the way through. That was not my journey at that stage. I was in my shift out of the matrix, out of 3D consciousness at that stage. My kids have had such a massive role to play in that. So for me, my doula taught me how to meditate for the first time. I was able to actually come into my body. And so transition was the first time I had, I guess, like an altered state experience. So these are the same types of experiences you can have with plant medicine, with shamanic journeys. Some people can do it in meditation. I hadn't had that experience, not at least in my remembrance. I think probably I had as a kid, but it got blocked when it wasn't safe. So that transition is like a connection with the divine at such a level that it's like, if you've had any doubts, if you've been in the remembering and the forgetting process, as most of us have on this journey, it locks you in. It locks you in to your mission. And so the other things that they showed me. So, okay, first of all, most importantly, we're clearing density. The way we do that and the reason we do that is because we're needing to create a birthing sanctuary, a transition sanctuary, both within us and around us. So think of it as like a force field. Imagine, for those of you who have given birth, or even if you haven't, imagine that you are about to give birth and you create the most safe, magical, connected, harmonious environment for yourself that you could imagine. Now, this is like something beyond even just like, oh, I would have had a water birth at home. Yes, amazing. No. What I picture is I would have been in a forest surrounded by elders, human elders, my guides, like woodland creatures and fairies, and, like something really even outside of what the human mind can imagine, like that level of safety. If you've ever done a meditation or self hypnosis or any kind of journey where they guide you to a safe space, that's what I'm talking about. So we are bringing that frequency of safety, of wholeness into this reality. And you create that around you and within you. And in order to do that, we're clearing density. We're also having to cut cords. And this one is really difficult for people. And I'm just going to tell you straight, because I have for a long time kind of pussyfooted around some of this, and I'm done doing that. Because the people who need to hear this right now will want it. And this is what my clients have been telling me. Just tell me direct. Don't try to sugarcoat it for me. So imagine you're a baby trying to come through the birth canal and you've got about 40 umbilical cords attached to you. It's not going to happen. And imagine you're trying to create a sanctuary and this force field of safety. And you've got all of these cords going out, leaking energy, taking on other people's energy, getting caught in their chaos tornadoes. And this doesn't mean you don't love these people. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just that they're taking you out of your own frequency, your own safety, your own sanctuary. Now, this is the human condition. I think this is the hardest piece for people. So over the last 6 months, I've been given so much guidance about closing tabs. So being really, really clear and almost ruthless in a way about who and what I allow into my sanctuary. So this means that I have really, really pulled my circle in. Friends, I have consciously chosen not to be in a romantic relationship because in the past that has been a place where I've really self-abandoned, and my mission has come on so clearly that I'm more committed to this than anything. I wanted no distractions. I've stopped working with most mentors. I've been really discerning about any practitioners I work with. I've been given the guidance not to be in anyone else's frequency. I have been creating this sanctuary for myself, and I didn't really have the concept of what I was doing. I was just intuitively following the clues that were being presented, and it was really fucking hard. Let me be honest with you. I am the villain in people's stories. I have closed tabs on friendships there was nothing like wrong per se, but I noticed that I was, rather than being focused on what I was meant to be doing, I was getting sucked up into other people's visions and their missions, or, people who are caught up in their own stories and loops about what's happening in their life. And they're not ready to really take a step out of that and, really commit to what is right for them. Again, I've been there. Trust me. But then I got tired of my own bullshit. That's the thing. There's a point when you get so sick and tired of your own bullshit that you're like, you know what? No, I'm done. I am done with this. And I am going to look at every part of myself. I'm going to go digging in the shadows. I am going to excavate. The density must be seen and it must be transmuted. And so that is the process that I've been on for the last 6 months. I've also really been walking a path of fully embodying what it is to hold space and how to create safe containers for people. And this was so important to me because part of my karma, which I've turned into my dharma, is that I was going into spaces, relationships, mentorships, containers where I would give my power away, where I would self abandon. And there was a bit of victim consciousness to it for a while. But then when I became really aware of it, I was like, no, I am the one who's staying here. I am the one who's choosing this. And of course, there's so much connected to my parents and all of that, like deep core wounding. There was also sisterhood wounding. There was so much stuff. And it was like, it goes from being unconscious to coming into your conscious awareness, but you're still looping on it. Well, I've been systematically going through each of those things and going, okay, this is something that I am willing to do the scary thing to change. So if you watch my masterclass, this is the taking the leap of faith to go on the highest timeline. And usually it's quite scary. I've closed the door on quite a few friendships over the last 6 months. And that was really hard for me because my friends have always been my lifeline. My friends were my family. And I realized that's why I was staying in friendships that weren't serving me. And so I also have been on like a self-worth journey, like so many, all of these things that, we hear about on the spiritual journey that were kind of there in the background in the periphery that I felt like I couldn't really get a handle on or like get to the core of because I was still staying in these loops. I've just been so committed to going in and really getting to the core of it. So again, that's the process that's been going on to clear density. It's the emotional density, it's the mental density, it's the physical density, and cutting cords and pulling all of my energy back to myself, reclaiming, and also stretching beyond my comfort zone. That's been the most brilliant thing about starting a business and starting to share more publicly is, whew, I heard a business coach say it's the deepest shadow work you'll ever do. And man, is that true. So much fear about, being canceled, being misunderstood, being seen as too much, saying the wrong thing, and not to mention, like being killed as a witch, like past life stuff for sure. That's been another initiation. And then there's been this reclamation around, I knew that I was connected to shamanic medicine and that I needed to come back down to earth. So, there's my tattoo and my business name, there's the sky, there's the earth. right? As above, so below. But I was very connected to the cosmos, to the galactics, and I was less connected to Earth. I was actually quite disconnected. And I recently understood why. So there had been this desire to learn about shamanic medicine, but there was this fear that who am I? Just another white girl. I am half Colombian, but another white girl who went to Peru and decided she's a shaman. I was like, oh, the cultural appropriation. I don't know who to learn from. I don't want to say or do the wrong thing. I don't want to offend anyone. And it was really keeping me disconnected to the truth of the medicine. And so recently it's really, really dropped in for me. And I feel so connected to the earth, to the plant allies, to the animal allies. And it's really the thing. And I've heard this before, but once I connected the sky and the earth, boop, that way. Once I connected the sky and the earth, everything opened up for me. And that's when these transmissions started coming through, like literally that day. It was wild. So so just going back, so we're in this transition from 3D to 4D. There's a first wave of us who are going through, if you think of like Dolores Cannon's, the three waves of volunteers. I think there's like a fourth wave now, and we're parts of different ones. Anyway, the point is you're here on a mission related to the expansion of consciousness and the transition of human consciousness and Gaia. So those of us in this first wave are going through the transition now. And so we're purging all of the density from our 3D experience. And this is why a lot of us are really like feeling it. I mean, everyone's feeling it in different ways, but those of us on the mission are feeling it like real contractions. And then the transition itself is connecting back to your I am, essentially. So once you're in the birthing sanctuary, you've shored it up. You've made it like almost ironclad, like nothing can penetrate, and you feel really safe and connected to yourself, the truth of who you are, 100% in the frequency of your truth. Once you are there and you have remembered your mission, so part of that journey will unveil it to you. You've remembered your mission. You are then in a position to go out and help the others. So what was shown to me was this constellation, and we've heard all of this, but I just saw it like this was literal. This isn't just a metaphor. We are all connected in all of these beautiful ways. We each have our own unique role to play. What's been fascinating is that there are people who are playing the role in the transition by dying. So I know that can be intense. I have had so many clients who have had a family member die recently, a pet die recently, and each one of those people or beings actually is playing a role on the other side, or the process of them dying is bringing up density for the person to actually feel their feelings for the first time, or connect with their family members in a different way. It's fascinating because there are some who won't be able to make the transition just through consciousness in this physical form. So when we go to 4D, we're still in physical form. The higher octaves of 4D are when we can start being in like light bodies and being in like more unity consciousness. But at this first transition from 3D to 4D, you're still in physical form. It's just like your entire reality is different because your consciousness has shifted. So some people won't be able to make that transition in the current physical form. There's just too much density. I'm thinking of kind of like my parents' generation, for instance. It's like they can't possibly imagine transforming enough to make this happen. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's addictions, there's regrets, there's, decades of living in this reality that make it really dense, and they may not be able to make the transition through consciousness, and so that transitioning in physical form might be the way. But then once they're on the other side, we're able to work with them and they can help guide us in a different way. So that's really interesting. So we've created our sanctuary for ourselves. And then, so when I was saying like cutting the cords, again, you can't go through the birth canal with 40 umbilical cords. This isn't to say that you just like, peace, I'm out. See ya, suckers. Good luck. No, once you've shored up your sanctuary, you are then in a position to help others and guide others. But until you've shored up your sanctuary, it's too easy for their energy to come in and knock you off course, for you to get sucked back into the tornado of their own chaos. So this is why it's so important. And we've been taught so much about being selfish, and so many of us are overgivers, people pleasers, recovering people pleasers, codependent. There's so much of this wounding, especially for women, around giving and giving and giving. I've been shown just how critical, it's like non-negotiable this is for people to come home to themselves. And because we each have our own unique role to play, we also can't do it for anyone else. Every single person has to make the transition on their own. That's not to say that we can't shine the light to say, oh, watch out for that little detour in the birth canal. Or, oh, don't worry, that part, I know it feels scary, but it's not so scary. Or whatever our medicine is to share, each one of us is playing a unique role in this whole constellation of what's happening. And they showed me that artwork is really, really important because words can only transmit so much. That's why I'm going to start sharing some of the transmissions that have been coming through for me in light language. And there's a resurgence of light language. I think there was like this kind of ick. It became quite performative, and like, I don't know, I had an aversion to light language before mine came through. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to share this with anyone. But now that I've seen how powerful it is, because it's encoded and it's holographic in nature, so it carries a resonance and a frequency that kind of finds all the nooks and crannies within your unique system to give you the message that you need. So there's a resurgence of all of this type of technology that we had back in the Lemurian era, but we've forgotten about during the Atlantean era, which is the last 13,000 years. And so there's this resurgence, and as we each find our own unique blueprint and our own unique role in the transition, we will be able to go back and assist others, those people in our lives. And by living in alignment with our own blueprint, that's probably the biggest impact you can have, is by showing people that living in this different way is possible. So, for instance, today I had a conversation with my dad. It's his birthday. He lives in the US. He's Colombian, but he lives in the US. And he has been a cable news addict for as long as I know, decades, right? I don't watch the news. I live in a completely different frequency and reality. And he's like, have you been watching what's going on in the US? And I was like, absolutely not, by design. And that's not because I'm putting my head in the sand and I'm in denial. And it's not because I don't care. It's because I know that when I have an umbilical cord connected to that, it triggers PTSD for me. This is very real. I noticed this during COVID. Like, I went over the edge of anxiety. I was non-functional. And that's when I stopped watching the news. And it's not to say that I don't care about what's going on in the world, that I don't acknowledge the tragedies that are happening. I also know that it's not my medicine to share about those specific things. But when I'm on my mission, which is to help you remember your mission, there are plenty of people who will go and find their unique role in shifting specific things. But if we all water down our role and try to be like anyone else or do what we think we're meant to do, it completely dilutes our medicine, and we will not be able to make this transition the way that we're meant to. So let me just see if there's anything else that they wanted me to share. Asarita cha. Asaretata. Asarangata sinitata shitata shitai. So the time is now. This is happening now. And you have more support than you could ever imagine. Because as you start making the transition, if you're not already connected to your guides, to your intuition, your psychic powers, your gifts, they all unveil themselves. And it's in the places where the shadows lurk, it's in the density. As you transmute that density, you will feel so much light enter your body, and you'll be so connected in a way that you could never have imagined. So, what's wanting to be shared is the Syrian formula, which I learned during the School of the Nine Serpents, which is taught through Lisa Royal Holt by Sasha, a Pleiadian, and Hamon, who's Syrian, who she channels. And they shared, so it would have been Hamon who shared this formula, but this is really important right now. So we're feeling the most extreme polarity, which is it's part and parcel with 3D reality. So the extremes, and there's so much happening in the reality that is wanting to pit us against each other, get us to, choose right and wrong, black and white. And even within ourselves, we start to feel these polarities really playing out. Now, the way through this, because that is a density. Any polarity is a density that lives within you, because it's not the truth of who you are. It's not your wholeness. So let's say I have a polarity that says, I'm not enough. What's really interesting is I also have, I'm too much. Now, when I can hold both of those things, and see them both as equally true and untrue, just beliefs, just stories, and the paradox of them. Have you experienced paradox? Really? Being able to hold two things at the same time that seem in conflict, that seem counterintuitive, and looking at them, then if you can really embody that paradox and go, there's no more charge to that for me, and there's something more true that lies underneath that. And that is the alchemy. So, what I alchemize those two beliefs into is I am. This isn't about performative self-worth. It's not, I am worthy of all the things I deserve, that I desire in this life. No, it's just, I am. It is my birthright. Can you feel the frequency of that? Do you feel that? It's clearing the density. Take a deep breath in. Feel the frequency of your I am. That's what we're rebirthing through this process. And the birds are just so strong in the field at the moment. They carry the frequency of this liberation, of the sovereignty. They actually have an ability to move through the 3D matrix and shift the density. So it's really powerful if you have bird allies, to be working with them. So is there anything else that wants to come through in this moment? So funny. The last Chronicles of the Cosmic Scavenger Hunt update that I did was not long after the March eclipse portal, and I recorded an update after that, but I was still in the thick of it, right? And so I might post that as well, because I think it's good to see. I've been leaving these clues for myself and for others about how to navigate this stuff. And a big piece of it is shame, is removing the shame, because shame is dense. Shame of where we're at, feeling like we should be more healed than we are, feeling like something's wrong with us, that we struggle in relationships. When the truth is, I am. That's it. Yeah, I thought I was going to give some linear update about what's happened since then and all of the things I've learned. But really, this feels like the perfect place to begin the update. Because then we can follow the trails back and go, okay, what does it look like to close tabs? And I've also been leaving these clues in my Instagram feed, which is like, that's been such a fascinating journey too, is like really staying true to my intention that I only share when something's really alive. And then that butting up against now knowing that I'm meant to work with more people and having to kind of bring that inspiration and then put it into some kind of form that people can actually consume. I've got quite a few different offerings at the moment. I'm still doing quantum hypnosis sessions in person and online. They've completely evolved since when I launched at the beginning of the year. I've brought all of my intuitive skills into these sessions to partner with your higher self to bring whatever memory or experiences you need in that very moment to help unlock the next stage in your journey, to gather so many clues. I started working with the Akashic records, which seemed completely like a stretch not that long ago, and now it feels like something that's just second nature for me. The more that I go with my intuitive knowing and just follow whatever guidance your higher self is giving, the more I'm getting the feedback from people like how transformational this is. And this is not just the quantum hypnosis sessions. I'm also doing soul jam sessions, which are a perfect place for people to start if they're not interested or ready for quantum hypnosis, but they want to get clarity, to release density. That's the biggest one. I've started bringing in, I just crafted this beautiful medicine rattle on the weekend along with my medicine drum. And this is brilliant for shaking up density. Once you clear density, you need to bring the energy that you're desiring back in. So I have other tools that do that as well, including these beautiful kookaburra wings that came to me in such a like synchronistic way. So these soul jam sessions are 75 minutes, mostly online, but if you're on the Central Coast, I'm open to doing them in person as well. We really just get to the heart of the matter. I have realized part of my too muchness was because I was directing my intuitive guidance at people who hadn't consented, like my friends and my family. So if someone's not ready to receive the medicine, it's not right for me to be sharing it. But if someone has come and said, okay, I really want help with this thing, and my guides and your guides are telling me something really clear that might be hard to hear, that's what I'm here for. You have complete free will. I honor your spiritual sovereignty. You get to choose what you do with that. But I'm no longer going to hold back and not say the thing because I'm worried that it's too much with that. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I've fully accepted and integrated the fact that I trigger people. That has been such a massive liberation for me. And I'm an activator. That's what they told me. They're like, you are an activator, so of course you're going to trigger people because that's an activation. And for me, a trigger is such a gift. It's like pointing just a laser beam at some density within me that is ready to be seen and transmuted through the Syrian formula, right? Because it's a polarity. So, if I see some woman expressing herself openly and confidently, and that triggers something within me, maybe in the past I would have been like, oh, who does she think she is? And the truth of the matter is there was envy there, and envy is an important concept. It's not jealousy. Jealousy is you're worried about losing someone to someone else, and that's another trigger that comes up. Envy is I see in that person something that I would actually like for myself, and why does she get to be in her full expression? Well, the truth of the matter is that's what my soul is calling me to do. So I've been following those clues, and that has led me to understand that I get reactions from people when I am being my whole self. In the past, that would have made me collapse back in, go back into the box, mask, try to water myself down. I was talking to someone the other day. It would be like instant coffee when I'm meant to be full strength Colombian coffee or espresso. I'm intense. And for the people who are meant to work with me, that's exactly what they want me to be. And so it is so liberating. Yeah, so these soul jam sessions, this is how I go. It's a bit of a windy road, but stay with me. These soul jam sessions, we can get so much done in 75 minutes. Clarity, healing, density clearing, intuitive guidance, activating your own intuitive guidance, whatever you really need, I bring the tools in. And then I'm just launched publicly the soul remembrance journey. So this is my signature baby. This is what has been incubating for me for months, and I wasn't feeling quite ready for it, but now I am. And I've got two people who have already joined. I've got space for two more. I'm feeling into whether I've got more space than that, but between now and the end of the year, I really want to activate major transformation for people between now and the end of the year. 2025 has so much potent energy. So if you feel it like rumbling under the surface and you're like, I'm ready to be on mission, I'm ready to, maybe I'm sick of my own bullshit. Whatever loops I've been in, I'm done. I'm ready to move forward. And I just need someone who's walked the path. Maybe I'm only a few steps ahead. That's all it really needs to be. And every time I connect with a new person, whatever medicine they need, I'm given that first so that I can walk that path, and then I shine the light back. And it's been so magical. So it's a combination of soul jam sessions, quantum hypnosis sessions, so past life regression. That's a simple way of saying it's much more than that. And then messaging in between the sessions. So it's going to be at this stage, the guidance I'm getting is it's a 16-week container. One-on-one, bespoke. Your higher self is leading the charge, and I'm just here kind of like catching whatever's coming, reflecting things back to you, bringing my tools to the jam sessions, my instruments. We're unearthing more clues through quantum hypnosis. Then I'm using my Wayfinder life coaching structure framework to really guide through the stages of change and get real quick results, to be honest. It's been mind blowing with my first client, and my second client starting this week. I'm so excited. And so if you are like, yeah, let's go, that might be for you. So sign up for an alignment call. And then I've also got another group quantum hypnosis journey. This one's going to be a bit different than the ones in the past because I'm going to be bringing in more of the shamanic medicine. It's going to be really cool. 30th of November in Kincumber, if you're based on the Central Coast or nearby. If you're in Sydney or Newcastle, come on down. And then something that I'm really excited about is this is the beginning of sharing these transmissions that are coming through. So they're coming through in light language and they're coming through in English. I've got a library of about 12 to start off with, and I'm going to put together a private paid community because what I've been shown is it's really important that people are consenting and stepping forward and saying yes. So it'll be accessible but still paid, and it'll be a safe space to explore these concepts of this transition that we're going through, to receive the transmissions, the frequency that will help you through the releasing of density, the remembrance of your mission, and to have a community of people who are doing the same, because it can be quite lonely and you can kind of go like, oh my gosh, am I going crazy? No, you're not. This is real. It's very real. It's not a metaphor. They showed me how real it is. So is that it? Oh, the last thing. I did the Master Your Inner Compass masterclass, Trojan Horse for activations and transmissions last month. And I've got the recording that I'm going to make available for a small fee. Again, just that, yes, I'm entering into this means that you'll carve out the space that you need, because it's a pretty intense masterclass. It's 90 minutes, 3 activations throughout, lots of information that's downloading because I've channeled it. And so it's something that you have lifetime access to come back and watch over and over again, and to listen to the activations when you need them, because I'm transmitting the frequency of your highest timeline, of your I am, of what this birthing sanctuary feels like. I didn't even realize that's what it was at the time, but I was just following the guidance that I was getting, that I needed to share it. So those are the things that are most alive right now. Who knows where it's going to go from here, but I'm just really focusing on creating the capacity and the space and calling in the right people to work with between now and Christmas, essentially. And I'm sure things will continue to evolve. I've got a podcast coming out that I recorded a few months ago that I just recorded an update because so much had changed. Like this is it on the Cosmic Scavenger Hunt. I don't get attached. Oh, that was the big thing about the umbilical cord. That's an attachment. Anything that we're attached to slows down the transition. So like any part of your identity that you're attached to that you're not willing to let go of, even like those of us who have been on the spiritual journey, maybe we've started a spiritual business. If we get attached to this is what I am, who I am, what I do, and we're not willing to shift and evolve as things change, we're just staying in the density. So we have to get really, really, really comfortable with change. You can channel Andromedan frequencies to help you tap into what that feels like. It is something the human mind can't actually fully understand. So it's something that I'm working through. You know, there's still part of me, like my guide said, you need to move house. And I was like, I don't want to. So I negotiated. I was like, can I do it next year? And they were like, okay. Um, but I got guidance that I was meant to sell all of my old employee shares because that was a cord and invest in gold and silver, which had been on my radar, and Bitcoin, which scared the shit out of me, to be honest, because I was like, I don't know anything about it, but I got such clear guidance that I was meant to cut cords with any legacy financial instruments and anything that was from my old identity, which carried a lot of density when I worked in corporate. So this was like the final cord cutting. I did it this week. Oh my gosh, it was like the 3D was really trying to hold on to me. I spent hours on the phone with my US bank. It was a bit of a nightmare, but I got there in the end. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm putting my money where my mouth is on every front. And anything that reveals itself for me that's still density, I'm looking at it and I'm addressing it, and things are shifting and changing so fast. So this is my intense, full on fire hose blast. And I am not censoring myself anymore because I know how important it is that people who are meant to receive this medicine receive it. If something in this really activated you, struck a chord, please leave a comment to let me know, or reach out for an alignment call just to even discuss how we could work together. It is a mission. So it's like, it's not a business. I'm not like, please book a session with me. It's like, if you're meant to work with me, you'll know. And those are the people that I'm wanting to work with. I'm not here to work with everyone because there's other people whose mission it is to work with those people. I'm here to work with the people I'm meant to work with, and you'll know if that's you. And if you're a bit scared, just book in for a soul jam session and see what that feels like. You don't have to go the whole way to the soul remembrance journey if you're not ready for that. And the alignment calls are really that. It's like, are we aligned? It's both ways. Is there anything else? No, thank you. Okay. They said no. That's where I'm meant to end it. So let's see if just a bit of light language transmission wants to come through to cap it out. Okay, Ra's here. I'm sending you love and the remembrance of who you truly are.